No. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanam Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam everyone. So we have been looking at Narada Bhakti Sutras, and at the moment we've almost completed for nearly 40 verses or sutras. And as I had mentioned, these sutras have been classified into various chapters by some of the commentators, and I'm following one of the categorization. So we are in the chapter 3. In this chapter, the means of devotion are being discussed. But how does a devotee connect to the Lord? What are the practices and so on? So we will continue from where we left off. Saira. Tritiyodhyaya, third chapter. Tritiyodhyaya. Bhakti sadhanani. That's the means of devotion, so instruments of devotion, however we want to look at it. Let's look at the 40th sutra, which we are going to look at today. Labhyatepi tat kripayaiva. Labhyatepi tat kripayaiva. Labhyatepi tat kripayaiva. So even the means which we have looked at in the past, first let's look at the pronunciation aspect of the sutra. Labhyate. Lab, this ub is the fourth noun form, fourth consonant in the per varga or per class of consonants, which has to be aspirated. So lab is the fourth consonant in the per varga or per class of consonants. So please pay attention to that. Other than that, none of the other letters are aspirated. So it should be rather simple for anyone to uh, read it. Um, let's look at the Sandhi split of the sutra. Labhyatepi is made up of two words, labhyate and api. Labhyatepi becomes labhyate and api becomes labhyatepi. The a in the second word becomes silent, and the te gets elongated. Okay, labhyate api becomes labhyate pi. So there's sometimes they would say labhyate api. That's also a practice of many people. So the te becomes a slightly a at the end. They sort of merge together, and that is signified by an avagraha. Avagraha is an S-shaped letter, you could say, which actually signifies that silent a in that sandhi. In the next word, tat kripaya iva, there are three distinct words. The first two words actually form a samasa. They are not, though they are distinct words, they are not individual words. Tat kripaya and eva. Okay, tat kripaya, there is no change to anything, but it's just the way it's written, it's different. Tat kripaya. Ya plus eva. Kripaya, at the ya at the end of kripaya and eva go undergo some change. The ya, a becomes I. And the in the ya and a becomes I. So because of that, it becomes yai. So that's how you get kripayaiva. Kripaya eva becomes kripayaiva. So that's also another sandhi change, um, which we may have similar ones we have looked at in the past also. Okay, now let's look at the meaning of the word. So the meaning is labhyate means obtained. Okay, it's labhyate is labhati is what's called the active form. Labhyate is passive form. That means it is obtained or is gained. Okay, lab is the root word, which means to gain. Api means also or even. Okay, that kind of meaning comes with the word api. Uh, tat kripaya. Tat means that. I think we have already looked at. That refers to God in the Vedantic parlance. Kripaya. Kripa means compassion, grace. Kripaya is the third noun form or third vibhakti of the simple noun kripa. Okay. So by God's grace, eva alone. Labhyate. So what is it talking about? What do we attain? So we had looked at the previous sutras. And we had looked at the previous sutras as uh, a little bit of uh, Shravana, Kirtana, to listen to the Lord. And the three sutras we looked at. One was Lokepi Bhagavad Guna Shravana Kirtana. That means by listening to the glory of the Lord and also to sing of that. That is one of the instrument, one of the means. Then the most important is Mahat Kripayaiva. So that's the Mahat Kripaya means we have looked at. That means the compassion or grace of the great ones. Okay, that's the second one which we looked at. Even with that, a little that can be attained by what little bit of grace of God also. Bhagavad Kripa Lesha. Okay. Then the third sutra which we looked at last week was that it is Durlabha, Agamya, Amogha. Those are, what is it? Mahat Sangastu. The company of the great ones is Durlabha. It's very difficult to attain. And it's unreachable also. Okay. Agamya means one which cannot reach. So that is so difficult. So that is, so it would have discouraged anyone. Okay. So that is referred to in this sutra, which is Labhyatepi Tat Kripya. Only through God's grace that is attained. Okay. That is also attained by God's grace. So that is acknowledged by Narada Maharshi. We look at an excerpt of Swami's discourse. This excerpt from Sandeha Nivarani. There are two pairs of question and answers which I have picked up. We'll go through them. Devotee is asking the question. Devotee, they say that until we understand the reality of the Supreme Self, it is important to be in the company of the great and the good, and also to have a guru. Are these necessary? So that's the question. You should understand the Sandeha Nivarani, Swami himself has written the question and Swami himself has provided the answer. Okay, so he himself is asking the question. So the question itself says that this is important. Then Swami goes on to explain give an answer to that question which he himself has posed. Swami said, of course, The company of the great and the good is necessary. To make the reality known to you, a guru is also important, but you should be very careful. Genuine gurus are scarce these days. Cheats have multiplied, and teachers have retreated into solitude in order to realize themselves undisturbed. There are many genuine gurus, but they can't be secured easily. Even if you get them, you must thank your destiny if they vouchsafe to you more than one single divine maxim. They won't spend time telling you all kinds of stories. There should be no hurry in the search for a guru. This is second question and second answer. Devotee is asking the question. Or the devotee should ask the question, I think the way Swami would say. Then what is the world? What in the world is the path? Swami. Why? It is just for this that we have the Vedas, Shastras, Puranas, and Itihasas. Study them, adhere to the path they teach, and gather the experience, understand their meaning, and trend of their message from Pandits. Follow them in practice and meditate on the Supreme Self, Paramatma, as the Guru and as God. Then those books themselves will help you as your Guru. For what is a Guru? The Guru is that through which your mind gets fixed on God. If you consider Supreme Self as the Guru and do spiritual exercises with unshakable love, the Lord Himself will appear before you and give you a mantra just as a Guru. Or He may so bless you that as a result of your spiritual exercises, you may meet a true teacher. So Swami is giving the answer to the importance of the Guru as well as how we can seek a Guru with God's help and God will grant it. So that's with Tat Kripayaiva. That's a sutra. Tat Kripayaiva. That means only through God's grace. So which is what Swami is nicely explaining. We will look at another excerpt of Swami's discourse. The vision of God who resides in the heart can be had through an unwavering devotion for the lotus feet of the Guru. And by relieving oneself from the shackles of family and by controlling the vagrant mind and the sense organs. Divyatma Sarupas, this is the last verse of the Bhaja Govindam series. After composing it, Shankara left Banaras. It has been stressed in this verse that you must have unwavering faith in the Guru. But you must try to understand as to what kind of Guru Shankara had in mind in this context. One who lights up the Atma Jyoti in you by teaching you what is right and what is good, helping you to practice the sacred principles contained in the Shastras. Disciplining your mind can be regarded as the proper Guru. The word Gu means darkness or ignorance, and Ru stands for the removal thereof. This means that the darkness of ignorance can be dispelled by the light of wisdom. Such is the function of Guru. Gu stands for one who is beyond all attributes. Gunathita, that's the word Swami would have used. And Ru is Rupa Varjita, or one who has no form. One who has neither attributes nor a form is only God. In the present day world, it is possible that the gurus will teach the right path and right ideas, but it is not possible for them to lead you from darkness to light or from ignorance to knowledge. Only God can do this. The present day teachers are of two types. There are those who claim to be exponents of Vedanta, but their main intent being catering to the worldly desires. They conform to the whims of their disciples, and in doing so, they succeed in dispossessing them of their possessions. Such gurus are an unbearable burden upon the surface of the earth. They correspond to another meaning of the word guru, which means weight or burden. The second type of gurus are those who can expound the sacred texts and help the disciple to discipline themselves to some extent. They impress upon their disciples that the guru himself is Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara, and also Parabrahma. This is how such teachers enhance their own stature in the eyes of their disciples. There's a lot of difference between a teacher and a guru. A teacher transmits what he has learned in return for a reward, whereas a guru, through his grace, enters your heart, broadens it, and enables you to comprehend the aspects of divinity. Such a being in the form of a guru appears at an appropriate time. For example, when King Parikshit prayed, Sukha immediately appeared. Sairam Kanagesanti.
Sai Ram, I don't know. The first type of guru, I am not clear.
Okay, I will go back.
Can we go to the previous page, please?
Okay.
Yeah. There are those who claim to be exponents of Veda, but their main intent being catering to the worldly desires.
They conform to the whims of their disciples, and in doing so, they succeed in dispossessing them of their possessions. Such gurus are unbearable burden upon the surface of the earth. They correspond to another meaning of the word guru, which means. So, what Swami is talking about the types of two gurus which are prevalent today in this world. The first type, they are interested in worldly possessions. So that means they want money. So what they do is,
Like we work for salary.
yes, so they somehow extract the money and wealth from the disciples. Two types of gurus which are prevalent today in the world. That's what Swami is saying. One type of gurus, they are interested in making as much money as possible. So what they will say is, they will tell the disciples, whatever you're doing is okay. You can cater to the worldly desires. And so, but though they say that they are expounding the Vedanta, but they let the devotees be complacent and think their life is good. They earn as much money and share some with me also. So that type of guru is a burden for the world. That's what Swami is saying.
That guru is a burden.
That is the first type of guru. The second type of gurus are those who they explain to some extent. Okay, that's to some extent. But they are impressed that they are Brahma, they are Vishnu. So they want the disciples to worship them. Okay.
So both are not good.
Both are not good. Both are not good. That's why Swami is saying only God is worthy of being called Guru. See, there are gurus, who want their feet to be, washed regularly and, worshipped and all that, Swami would say. So they are gurus, they want to enhance their image in the minds of the disciples. So that they also don't necessarily help the student expand and become one with the Lord. They would like disciples to remain as disciple always. I think that's
Thanks a lot.
so Swami is just warning us of the type of people who call themselves gurus, who are worldly minded and or who are misleading all the disciples, and the disciple will not get the real uh, knowledge which is needed to become one with God. Okay, that's what Swami said. You will not even see them in the public sphere. They, even if you catch them, if they give you one message, that itself is a big boon. That's what Swami said. So with that, we'll go to the next one.
So there's a lot of difference between a teacher and a guru is what he's saying.
Yes. Okay. Sairam. They also serve a purpose. Swami says, you can learn Puranas, Pandits. They're Pandits. You can learn something and then practice the lesson and then God will be pleased and he will make everything available. I think that's what I understand. We'll go to the next. Yes, Auntie Sakhu.
This doesn't apply to Vyasa and Vasistha, like those um, people who had ashramam and who were teaching children and guiding them.
Yeah, actually, I think my understanding is they were much better at pointing the disciple towards God.
Yeah,
I think Swami has given the example of Sukha Maharshi, you know.
yeah,
So they were not intended. He just appeared one day. He was there for 7 days with Parikshit, told the stories of from the Bhagavatam, and then he left. They are not there for money. They are not interested in the disciple seeing themselves as someone great. They just wanted the disciple to be connected to the Lord, and with them their job was done. So all these who mentioned are those who dedicated their life just for that. Let the devotee connect to the Lord. They just wants to be an instrument in that, and then they remove themselves from the place without any personal gain or benefit. That's my
thank,
understanding. Sorry.
thank you. Right.
So we'll go to the next sutra, which is the 41st sutra. Tasminstat jane bheda bhavat. Tasminstat jane bheda bhavat. Tasminstat jane bheda bhavat. We look at the pronunciation part. The first word, tasminstat it should be easy, but maybe it's not very familiar. But there are no aspirated consonants, so it should be okay. With a little bit of practice, you will be able to read. Tasminstat jane. Okay. Then the next word, bheda bhavat. The bhe and the bha. Okay, bhe and the bha are aspirated consonants because they are again the fourth letter of the pa vargo, pa class of consonants. So they have to be aspirated. Bhe, da, the da is not aspirate. Bhe, da, bhavat. Okay, so just pay attention to that. We will look at the sandhi split. The first word is made of two words, tasmin and tajjane. But tajjane is a samasa, but there are distinct two words, which is tat and jane. So we'll first look at the first sandhi, between the in and ta. It's tasmin tat. That what happens is letter half letter sa it gets added due to this sandhi. So tasmin is tat. Tasmin's tat. Okay, this in is actually shown as a answara here. But there's an added is when the sandhi forms. So that's how you get tasmin's tat. Okay. Then in the second one, it's a samasa. Tat jani. The it becomes ij because it's followed by ja. It transforms itself into a half ja or ja without a vowel. So that's become ta ij jani, tajjani. Okay. Tas means tajjani. Okay. So that's the sandhi. Then the second one is bheda abhavat. It's one samasa. It's a compound word with two distinct words. The first distinct word is bheda and abhavat. It's not an individual word. It's, in a samasa, there are distinct words, but they are not individual words. Um, because they don't, grammatically, they don't stand um, correct. They don't become correct if you just split because the meaning is much more than that. Okay. In this case, for just for information, Bhedasya. This Bheda means Bhedasya. Okay, but Isya is not needed, and so that's how you get Bheda Abhavat. That's how a compound word or a samasa is there. So the plus a becomes da. That's how you get a longer da. Bhe da bha vat. Okay. You look at the meaning of the sutra. Tasmin. Sasmin means it's actually the seventh vibhakti, seventh noun form of the word tat. Tat is that. Okay. Tasmin, in that. What is it in that? God. Okay. In God, you can say. So, okay, here the tat refers to God himself or the supreme principle, tat. So, in that, okay, seventh vibhakti. Then the second word is tat jane. Tat means again that. Okay, God. Jana means people, God's people. Okay, God's people who are nothing but devotees. Jana is the simple noun, first noun form. But Jane is again seventh noun form. That means in, on, at, about. That kind of a meaning comes. So in God's people, whether it is in God or whether it is in God's people, in devotees, Bheda Abhavat. Bheda means difference. Bhedam is difference. Abhavat means absence of bhava. It is not bhava. Bhava is to be, or bhava also comes from that word bhava. Abhava means that kind of a feeling. So there is no feeling of differences. So there's an absence of differentiation. The vat, that ending denotes fifth noun form. Fifth noun form or the panchami vibhakti of a noun, which means from. Okay, from such absence of differentiation in God and in God's people. That means we do not think that devotee is different from God. Through that, from that absence of differentiation between God and God's people comes devotion. It's a means of devotion. So through that also we can cultivate and nurture devotion. That is by not differentiating the God and God's people. So that's what Narada says. We look at some excerpts of Swami's discourse. All animals have a modicum of intelligence. So, to secure their needs and enjoy life, if man remains at the same level, he is not a man but an animal. The intelligence that reveals God is all sufficing. Of what avail is a mass of nondescript knowledge? The knowledge that does not reveal God is no knowledge at all. It merely serves to feed the belly. Embodiments of love. Every man is a creature of likes and dislikes, of attachment and aversion. The pairs of opposite described in Vedanta as dvandva. Wait 1 second, I think I should put a comma here. Dvandva, which means pair or twosome. Okay. In Vedantic parlance, these are called sannikarsha and viprakarsha. Sannikarsha refers to the quality which attracts to oneself a distant object or being. Viprakarsha means a near person or object remote. Making use of these two qualities, man leads his life. Bhakti, devotion, is the highest expression of sannikarsha. The term bhakti is derived from the root bhaj. Sairam Antisaku.
Yeah. Can you explain the Vedantic balance? Because I don't understand.
Okay, I'll try. So you're talking about Vedanta balance, Sannikarsha and
Yeah,
Viprakriti.
yeah.
So Swami is explaining what are these dvandva, pairs of opposite, likes, dislikes, okay, attachment and aversion. All of us have this in this world. We like some things, we don't like some things. We like some people, we don't like some people. So the Vedantic parlance, the term applied to each of these, for the like, it is Sannikarsha. So what we like, we want to accumulate, we want to draw it towards us. So that is Sannikarsha. We want to attract all that which we think is good. Okay. Viprakarsha means whatever we don't like, we want to push it out to make it remote. So, I mean, we want it to be far away from us. So that tendency of us, which is attracting or taking closer to us, is Sannikarsha. Viprakarsha is pushing whatever we don't like away, is Viprakarsha. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Akarsha means to attract. Akarsha means to attract towards us. So I think Akarshana Shakti, people
Yeah.
say it means to attract. Because Krishna, Swami gives, just an aside, Krishna, Karshati iti Krishna, like that Swami says. The meaning of Krishna is one who attracts. Karshati iti Krishna. So devotee, the devotee should be able to attract the Lord and be attracted by the Lord. So that's why Sannikarsha. So Sannikarsha means there are two types of attraction. One is the devotee attracts the Lord also attracts the devotee. When both happens, it is Sannikarsha. That means it's a good attraction. It's like in life also. The people say, I am attracted to that person is not attracted to me. Otherwise, it becomes one-sided love. Bhakti is two ways. Both attract each other, both like each other. So that's why Swami says, you have to be not only near, but you have to be dear to God, because God also should like you. So it's just an aside. We'll go continue.
Thank you.
The term bhakti is derived from the root bhaj, which means to serve. Another meaning of bhaj is friendship coupled with fear. But true bhakti is not based on service or a mixture of friendship and fear. True devotion stems from the consciousness that Jivatma, the individual soul, is a spark of the divine. Bhakti can be rightly understood only when this basic relationship is fully recognized and accepted. As long as God is regarded as different from the devotee, the true nature of bhakti cannot be understood. That is bheda abhavat, no differentiation. Okay, it is this feeling of difference which ultimately leads to loss of faith in God, despite the practice of bhajans, japas, dhyana, and yoga. One who regards himself as different from God can never become a true devotee. He must consider himself divine in substance, even as a spark is not different from the fire from which it came. God is the embodiment of love. Man who is an image of the divine should have love as his basic quality. Why then is man infected with qualities like hatred, envy, pride, and self-conceit? The reason is man's heart gets polluted by his love being turned towards external objects. The image of the Lord cannot be imprinted on a heart that is impure. It is only when man realizes the omnipresence and omniscience of God that he can comprehend the nature of divinity. Only then will he recognize the divinity within him. To experience the joy that springs from a devotee who has developed Sannikarsha Bhakti, one who has to show love and reverence towards elders and serve them with humility and respect. Towards equals, one should show love and friendliness. Towards the young, one should extend sympathy and loving care. By these means, we demonstrate our love and regard for the divine that is in each of them and us. Swami is talking about, I think, yes, Auntie, can I guess?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thank you. But in the previous page, he talks about love and fear together. When there is love, there should be fear. Not this one.
Also, okay, yeah. See, what
So,
happens is, generally, I think here you are talking about
yeah,
the term bhakti. See,
friendship coupled with fear.
okay, so what happens is, there are some people say one of the meaning of bhakti is to bhaja sevaya. That means one who serves.
Yeah,
You engage in service to the Lord. There are many devotees who will, they'll clean the temple, clean things, do seva, even doing poor feeding, dana dharma, and all. They ask service to the Lord. They may serve water to devotees and so on. That is also considered bhakti by some people. Some people call bhaya bhakti. Bhaya bhakti means you worship the Lord with a little bit of fear, humility, you can say. So
yeah. We
bhaya
have that in Tamil too. No, Bhaya Bhakti.
bhakti. So bhaya bhakti also is considered devotion by many people.
Yeah.
We listen to God, whatever He tells, we will do because we are afraid that He may punish us.
Okay. That
Okay.
is also devotion.
So people in general, that is also devotion. But Swami says the true devotion is much different.
Mm.
Though we consider these as devotion, Swami says the true devotion is where the devotee feels one with God.
Mm.
So I picked this up because Beda Abhavat. Only such people who have that feeling that we are also no different than the Lord, or lead a life which is not different from the life of the Lord, such people can be called true devotees. So that's what Swami is trying to. That's the highest state of devotion towards which Swami wants us to strive. I think that's my understanding.
Actually, through fear only, we don't make mistakes because
Yeah.
God will get angry. It's not through devotion. Many things we do through fear,
Yes, that's the normal tendency. But Swami wants us to get to the higher state, which is
not through fear or anything, but
ex-
really bliss. It's like,
yes, like
that,
this is like a child will do behave properly because of parents afraid of parents, and they are afraid of parents because they don't want to lose the love of the parents. But when the child becomes an adult, at that point in time, it has to decide for itself and do what is right. Only then the person can be considered to be doing the right things, because before that the person was doing out of fear,
out of
out
fear.
of love, out of fear also. But the person, it has not become his own character, his own nature. And I think what Swami wants us to get to that point where divinity becomes our own nature. We don't do things because God will think, because we think God is separate, we are separate. God will punish, or He may not be happy. And then if we do something that is not, we have not yet fully grown into the state of a devotee, is my understanding. I hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you. It's friendship coupled with fear, is what is it.
Yes, that is Bhaya Bhakti. Bhakti is some love, but little bit of Bhaya,
Why? Both together. Okay.
Yes, which is what generally children have towards their parents. They love their parents, but they're scared also.
But even now, like even as adults, even as old people, we are doing that through fear, no more. It is there.
Yes, yeah, I understand. Thank you. That's a reality. Swami is just pointing it out to us.
Yeah.
Yes, Auntie. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sairam Auntie Saku, please go ahead.
Sai Ram. This is actually in the Navavida Bhakti, the last stage, where you develop friendship.
Yes, but we have to go beyond that, and it should be Atma Nivedana.
Then, yeah, surrender,
So,
final,
total
ninth.
merging with the Lord.
Yeah. So eighth step is you
Yes,
become
yes, but
like
that is also not full stage yet.
yeah, like Manika Vasagar,
Yes,
Arjuna, all
yes,
this.
yes.
Thank you.
Sairam. Okay, so we will. I think we are reading somewhere, I guess. So let Okay, I think we just.
Gopikas of Vrindavan.
Okay, so we good. The Gopikas of Vrindavan knew devotion in this exalted form and exemplified it in all their actions. They
All the
experienced the divine in every moment of their lives and showed to the world what bliss is got from pure devotion to God. The Gopikas looked upon bhakti as greater than mukti, liberation. They regarded the love of God as sweeter than anything and so nectarine as to confer immortality. The bliss experience from bhakti is ineffable. Bhakti does not call for arduous spiritual practices or severe disciplines of any kind. There is no need to perform yagas and yajnas, religious sacrifices. The path of karma or jnana is rigorous and hard for common folk. The only easy and sure means for ordinary people to realize God without regard to their caste, nationality, sex, or any other qualification, and without their having to practice various austerities and penances, is intense devotion and love of God. The Gopikas experienced the continuous presence of God within them and outside them. They showed that such sublime love was possible for ordinary persons with little knowledge of scriptures or spiritual disciplines. They demonstrated the inextricable link between the divine and the individual. Where there is deep faith, there is intense love. Where there is love, there is shraddha, earnestness. Through earnestness, the jnana, higher knowledge, is gained. This knowledge enables the practice of sadhana. Hence, without faith and love, it is not possible to realize God. The Gopikas were prepared to face any trouble and go through any ordeal to obtain the grace of Krishna. Uddhava, who went to Repalle to teach Gopikas the path of yoga for God realization, found that a single-minded devotion to Krishna did not permit them to think of anything else. They saw Krishna in every plant, tree, hill, or dale, and were immersed in Krishna consciousness. They experienced the unity underlying all creation. Today, instead of unity, we have divisions of every kind. Forgetting the divinity that is present in everything in the universe, man is promoting differences and barriers between man, and nation, and subjecting himself to numerous difficulties. Divinity is present in every object in creation, from the ant to Brahma. Ignoring this basic truth, man is involving himself in endless problems. God is treated as a convenience, to be sought when in trouble and forgotten at other times. The divine is not to be sought in some far-off place. He is the indweller in our heart. When this eternal divine light is shining within us, it is a mark of ignorance to seek illumination elsewhere outside. The Krishna avatar has been described as Purna avatar, an incarnation with a plenitude of divine attributes. All avatars are equally divine, and it is pointless to describe one incarnation as partial and another as full. The form and the role of each avatar are dependent on the circumstances and the needs which led to the advent. Avatars are not to be judged in quantitative terms. Qualitatively, they are all essentially one. All avatars are full. In fact, only their forms and names differ according to the circumstances in which they appeared. For the Krishna avatar, for instance, the Pandits have offered different interpretations from the name alone. The letters in the word Krishna, K, R, Sh, N, and have been interpreted as signifying the glorious attributes of Krishna. K represents Kamalakanta, the Lord of Lakshmi. Other meanings given to the letters are Kamaleshwara and Kamala Garbha, the Lord of the lotus, and the one whose from whose navel the lotus has issued. He is also known as Kamala Bandhavudu, the kinsman of the lotus. The inner significance of these interpretations is that when divinity manifests within us, the heart blooms like a lotus before the sun. Ka thus symbolizes the sun principle also. Ra represents the principle of delight. Sha represents Vishnu, the source of all wealth and prosperity. Na signifies Narasimha Avatara, the combination of man and animal in an integral unity. Reveals the Akshara Swarupa of the Lord, his imperishable and eternal quality. Going by the letters in the name alone, scholars have derived the divine attributes of Krishna as avatar. Some others have regarded Krishna as the very embodiment of Ananda, bliss. The nature of divine, however, is not to be determined by the name of a particular avatar. Names are related to birth, and any meaning may be attached to a name. But the divine is birthless. It is present at all times and everywhere. Men may describe the divine in innumerable ways according to their experience and understanding. These are subjective expressions and do not reveal the real nature of the divine. Each individual's description is limited by the nature and level of his experience. The mind and speech turn back, unable to grasp the nature of the divine, says the Upanishad. What is important is to recognize that there is no basic difference between the human and the divine. They are integrally related to each other like the object and its image. Take, for instance, a seed. There are two halves in it. It's only when the two halves are unbroken that the seed can sprout when planted in the soil. Likewise, the tree of creation comes into existence when the Paramatma, the omni-will, and the Jivatma, the individual soul, come together. Without God, there can be no devotee. Without devotee, there is no God. Even as God creates devotees, devotees also create God. This is known as dhyana, meditation. Meditating on the name and form of God constantly, the devotee strives to have the vision of God in the chosen form. Man alone is endowed with this capacity to give a name and form to God and to realize it. But how many are conscious of the preciousness of this human birth? Few have any gratitude for the blessings they enjoy from providence. In this respect, even dogs are better than man. The dog's gratitude towards one who has given it a few crumbs lasts all through its life. The dogs may well ask, "Oh man, how are you better than us? You're lacking in elementary gratitude. All your knowledge, power, and position have no meaning if you have no character and have no sense of gratitude. You are consumed by selfishness. Even your worship is tainted by selfishness. It is not done out of pure love of God. Selfishness will not go as long as man identifies himself with the body and does not realize the divinity in him. Diversity in creation is an obvious fact. No two human beings, not even twins, are identical. But diversity should not lead to differences and conflicts. We must learn to see the unity that underlies the diversity. This unity is based on the divinity that is present in everything in the universe. The realization of this unity can come only through firm faith in God. Prahlada, even as a child of 6, was filled with love of God and could teach even his father profound truths. For God realization, neither age nor caste, neither power nor position matters. Valmiki was not a man of high birth. Nandanar was an outcast. The Gajendra, lord of elephants, was an animal. Dhruva was a child. Sabari was an illiterate old woman. All these realized the divine by intense devotion and achieved spiritual eminence. Hanuman was a monkey, but his devotion to Rama was such that when the Rakshasas asked him who he was content to declare himself a humble servant of Rama. Today, if someone is asked who he is, he proclaims a string of degrees to his credit. Some advertise their past achievements as ex-ministers or ex-something else. All these are ephemeral attainments. One's true worth is his Atma Swarupa, the divine essence. One should strive to realize it and manifest it. Today, we have observed the birthday of Krishna as avatar. In his own time, there were many who did not recognize the divinity of Krishna. Kamsa and Shishupala underrated Krishna's powers. There have always been, from age to age, detractors of the avatar. Krishna is described as Navanita Chora, one who stole butter. What is the butter that Krishna stole? It is the heart of the devotee. The devotee offers his heart to Krishna and Krishna accepts it. How can this be described as stealing? Only when a person takes away something from another without his knowledge can he be called a thief. But Krishna asks for your love and receives it from you when you offer it. The term thief has been applied to Krishna by devotees out of the fullness of their love. It is no pejorative significance at all. According to the level of their understanding and devotion, devotees describe God in different ways. These are expressions of subjective experience. The divine transcends all limitations and attributes. So this is a discourse Swami gave during the Krishnashtami celebration in the year 1986. We'll go to the next sutra. Tadeva sadhyatam, tadeva sadhyatam. Tadeva sadhyatam, tadeva sadhyatam. Tadeva sadhyatam, tadeva sadhyatam. In this sutra, in terms of pronunciation, in the word sadhyatam, the this the is the aspirated consonant. So just pay attention. Sadhyatam appears twice. So the same the. Except that letter, all the other letters are unaspirated, so it should be easier to learn to pronounce. Tadeva sadhyata. Let's look at the sandhi split. Tadeva is made of two words, tat and eva. The it becomes id. The first letter, ta varga, the first letter in the third class of consonants, becomes the third consonant, id. Both are unaspirated. Okay. First and third are always unaspirated in any series of consonants in a particular category. So that it becomes id. So that's how it becomes they. So it becomes tat becomes tad, the id and a become they. That's how you get tadeva. And that's the same sandhi gets repeated again, tateva. Because as you can see, this tadeva sadhyatam gets repeated twice. The same sandhi appears twice. Sadhyatam is an individual word. Individual verb actually. We look at the meaning of the word. Tat. So you can imagine why the sentence was repeated. So I have, this is, people say repetition is for emphasis is one idea. But I have given slightly different tinge of this. Let's look at it. Tat means that. So the first tat that's slightly different from the second tat is the way I have interpreted it, but you can interpret it whichever way you want. So that, which is identification of oneself with the Supreme Self, the individual with the Paramatma, Jivatma with Paramatma, the identification, no separation. That's the previous sutra we looked at. That alone, eva alone, that alone may be practiced. So that has to be practiced. So we should practice that oneness with the divine is the first Tadeva Sadhyatam. So the Sadhyatam is may it happen, may be practiced. That means let us practice. That kind of meaning. The second one, Tat is, so the Sadhyatam has multiple meanings. One is practicing also, doing sadhana is also Sadhyatam. Okay. But Sadhyatam also to accomplish something. Siddhi, to attain, accomplish. Okay. So what should be attained? What is worthy of being attained? Which is God. In this world, God should be our sole objective. So one is you have to practice that ability of identification of the individual self with the supreme self. Then God is the only one which is to be attained. Nothing else in this world is worthy of being attained. So that's what is mentioned in this sutra according to my understanding. We will read some excerpts of Swami's discourse. It is not open to all to understand the ways of the Lord. To know about God, one has to develop godly feelings. To know about God, one has to develop godly feelings. In this book, there are bookmark threads which distinguish every faith by a shloka relating to it. So I think I should just give the context of this discourse. In this discourse, Swami is talking about a small book, okay, which found in Russia or something like that. And Swami materializes it. It's a miniature book. And Swami says it contains all scriptures within that. It's contained in that book. So Swami is referring to that book and talking about it. If you're interested, it's the Christmas discourse in the year 1996. Maybe there are some videos where, that book, Swami holding out that a small book in which everything is supposed to be contained. He had materialized it. So let me go back to reading the excerpt. It is not open to all to understand the ways of the Lord. To know about God, one has to develop godly feelings. In this book, there are bookmark threads which distinguish every faith by a shloka relating to it. There's one page which contains a shloka from the Bhagavad Gita in which Krishna exhorts Arjuna to give up all beliefs and take sole refuge in him, and assured Arjuna that thereafter he will absolve Arjuna of all the sins, which is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. That verse Swami is referring to. We'll continue. The essence of all creeds is one and the same thing. Man's primary duty is to surrender to God. Surrender means attaining the state in which the devotee feels he is one with God. This feeling arises out of conviction that the same divinity is present in all. Bodies of human beings are varied like bulbs, but the current passing through them is the same. The color of the bulbs or their wattage may vary, but the current activating them is the same. So as you can see, Swami has given a completely different meaning to the word surrender. We think, surrender means, anything can happen, we will accept, that kind of a feeling. But Swami says, no, surrender means where the devotee feels he is one with God. There's no difference. So that's the meaning Swami has given for the word surrender. I have two excerpts from the same discourse. So this one para, I thought it's very nice. The embodiments of love. If you want to realize God, if you wish to experience divinity within you, if you want to know your true self, you have to develop pure, unsullied love. It is this that binds all people. It is described as the prema pasham, the tether of love. Today, there are numerous sects within Christianity, all of which are engaged in propagating their respective doctrines. While this preaching goes on, there's very little of practice in daily life. Practice is most important. People may be entitled to propagate their creed, but that does not achieve anything lasting. Only practical example matters. When you practice what you preach, others will be inspired by your example. No one will care for the teachings of a person who does not practice what he preaches. I have often told the students that of all forms of knowledge, the one that's most beneficial is practical knowledge, which is relevant to everyone. You have to act on the conviction that the same divine spirit dwells in one and all. Oblivious to this truth, man is immersed today in selfish pursuits. This selfishness is degrading man to the lowest levels. To develop true humanness, everyone has to foster the feeling of spiritual oneness. This sense of oneness constitutes true religion. Religion means realization of your true self. Develop the love for God, love of God. All other forms of love are not love at all, but only fleeting and impermanent attachments. Man's biggest folly is forgetting his divinity. All should realize that they come from God. All are children of God. Everyone should seek to get nearer and nearer to God. That is sadhana. You must feel that God is Hridayavasi, dwells in the heart. You must develop compassion in the heart, because without it, the heart is only a stone. I have another excerpt, maybe slightly longer one, from Dharmavahini. People who, as long as they have life in them, observe the thrice a day worship are indeed of the highest type. They are ever glorious and attain all that is desired. Above all, they are liberated even while alive. Okay. Jivan Mukta. Care must be taken to see that the morning evening prayers are not taken as a routine ritual, one among many laid down for observance. This is to be carried out while one is aware of the significance and dwelling on the inner meaning. One should clearly grasp the sense of the Gayatri. It is necessary to feel the identity between the effulgent being, Atmasvarupa, mentioned therein, and oneself. Only those who are ignorant of its meaning will neglect the Gayatri. Manu lays special stress on this, on just this. He has declared the Gayatri to be the very breath of the Brahmin. So in this Dharmavahini chapter 7, Swami is talking about the significance of Gayatri, and he's also talking about the significance of Sandhya, the morning and evening worship and the noon worship. And Swami, I picked this up because Swami says, when we chant the Gayatri, it is necessary to feel the identity between the Atma Swarupa mentioned therein and oneself, that we should feel one. That is a practice which we have to repeat every day, 3 times a day, is what Swami says. I will continue to read the rest of the excerpt. It is not only his declaration, it is the truth. What is more efficient for spiritual uplift than meditation on the effulgence that illumines and feeds the intellect? What is more vitally fruitful than prayer that pleads for saving the mind from sinward tendencies? For a person, there is no better armor than the cultivation of virtues. Manu states that Brahmins won't lose status as long as they hold on to the Gayatri and are inspired by its meaning. Manu says that if they are too weak to pursue the study of the Vedas, then they must at least recite the Gayatri and adhere to it till the very end. The authoritative tradition, Smriti, also says that there is no treasure richer than Gayatri. Soul force can accomplish all the tasks of the world. And since the Gayatri confers inner strength to foster that force, the Gayatri has to be cultivated with care at the right moment without neglect. For the growth and development of the body, pure sattvic food is necessary, isn't it? So too, the effulgence of the sun has to be drawn to reinforce the inner effulgence in the form of creative thought, bhavana. When soul force waxes, the senses are activated and directed along fruitful lines. When it wanes, the senses fail and fail you. So if the solar energy is drawn at that very juncture, it will be as seeds planted in season and the harvest is assured. Can darkness hide and confuse when the sun has risen and bathe earth in splendor? Can sorrow prevail when one has infused oneself with that effulgence? How can one be devoid of strength? The strength derived from the very fountainhead of Brahman. The technique of this process has been laid down by the ancients for the benefit of all aspirants. Learn and practice it. And by your own experience, you will be able to witness the truth of their path. Of what purpose is the sacred thread Upanayanam sacrament? Which mantra are you initiated into that day? Why was the mantra alone taught then? Why are the other mystic formulae not given equal prominence? Reflect on these matters and you will find that the Gayatri is the mother of mantras. You will also find the rituals shining with new meaning. The rules and restrictions will be full of purpose. The deeds and activities of the client of ancients, You will also find that the rituals shining with a new meaning. The rules and restrictions will be full of purpose. The deeds and activities of the ancients will be seen worthwhile. If you do not try to know their significance, you will interpret them as your fancy leads and land yourself in tricks and stratagems to escape the obligations of life. You will be caught in injustice and negation, anyaya and adharma. So this is from Dharmavahini, 7th chapter. I picked it up because Swami is saying, learn and practice it, sadhyatam. So we have to practice this 3 times a day, at least, hold on to it. And Swami also says, how do we practice this? Swami has talked about all this. The rules and restrictions have to be followed. The rituals have to be practiced with a new sense of meaning, rather than discarding them as useless or meaningless. And we will come up with some logic, where we will try to escape from practicing this. So Swami is warning us, so I thought it will be nice for us to read. And that Sandhya, chanting Gayatri and doing Sandhya is to identify oneself with the Atman. So these concepts were there, so I picked that up. I will stop here if there are any questions, and if I have some answer, I will share. Sai Ram. I guess there are no questions, so we'll close the session with Samasta Loka prayer. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.